Hey everyone, I'm Kevin Hodge, the General Curator at the Houston Zoo, and we're joining live in our construction area for our new Galapagos exhibit. And joining me today is Bill.
Hi everybody, my name is Bill Hyman with Tellefson Builders. I'm here to answer any technical questions that may come about as we take our brief tour this afternoon.
So what you're seeing behind us is the Galapagos Tortoise exhibit. So we're going to have 8 really large Galapagos tortoises that are an iconic species for the Galapagos Islands that are right back here. They'll have a pool, a wallow, and a place that you can get up close, face to face with these tortoises. Right now, our largest tortoise weighs around 200 pounds, but they can be over 500 pounds. So these are the world's largest tortoises in the wild. And we have a lot to see today, so we're going to continue moving. Next, so one thing we're excited about the exhibit that comes to the zoo, and we work closely with our to save animals in the wild. A group of local teens move and reduce the plastic to make sea turtles have a safe place to nest, and some of the other animals there don't get tangled in the plastic debris. And so as we're building each of these exhibits, we want to make sure our animals that we have here are connected to the work that we are doing in the wild to save them. So we're just coming on a signature first exhibit that you will see into the sea lion exhibit. This area will be over 255,000 gallons of water, and it makes it about 4 times the size of our current sea lion exhibit. So we need some more sea lions, right? So when 8 sea lions that are in here, and you'll get these that you never have before. You can view them across the front, watch them actually climb on the rocks that look like the Galapagos, and walk in a tunnel under the water where sea lions are swimming overhead.
To give everybody a quick overview and bearing of where we are visiting today, we started our visit in the giant tortoise exhibit, and we're working around the outside of the exhibit. Kevin just highlighted the large, new and improved sea lion habitat, and we'll continue our walk around and finish our walk today in the penguin exhibit. Due to some time constraints, we won't have the opportunity to visit the large One Ocean exhibit. However, we can tell you that's going to be a 200,000 gallon aquarium that's going to contain sea turtles and sharks and 30 different schooling fish and very large rays. They're actually working on growing out those animals now.
Yeah, we've already started getting some of those animals in here at the zoo because it takes quite a lot of time to bring them all in. The fish that we have, it's going to be over 400 fish, and we're going to have sharks and stingrays and sea turtles, everything that Bill was talking about. And so we started that process early on to make sure we could bring the animals in, get them accustomed to being here at the zoo, and then we'll transition them into their brand new habitat.
What's also very unique about this exhibit is not only are we building an exhibit space for the public to enjoy, we're also building ecosystems for these animals to live in. We're talking about 400 fish, we're talking about sea lion habitats. So you can see lots of this black piping protruding out of the pools. That represents a life support system. And to give you an idea, while we're talking about numbers, there's roughly 2.9 miles of this pipe snaked throughout the exhibit that goes back to the filtration yard to ensure that we have a quality habitat for all of these animals.
Yeah, it makes sure that the water is not only crystal clear, so it's easy for you to see, but it's healthy for the animals. And it's also a way to be sustainable. So we're not wasting water every day. We're taking that water, filtering it, and making sure that it's clean and safe for all of the animals here.
So we can continue our walk toward the penguin exhibit, and if you can put on your imagination for a second, this large pile of dirt is actually a large amphitheater area. So now there's a sea lion demonstration daily. Now we'll have the opportunity to have a much larger capacity, over 200 people, along with shades and opportunity to watch the sea lions in their habitat.
Yeah.
Keepers.
one of the things that we like to do, sea lions are very charismatic and they do a great job with training them here, and we like to showcase some of those natural behaviors. So the exhibit is designed in a way that it would allow them to climb on the rocks, climb up to a high place, and actually dive off into the water. And so we can highlight what a sea lion would do in the wild when you're here visiting at the zoo. One of the things that we're really proud of here at the Houston Zoo is the way that we have eliminated single-use plastics at the zoo. So you will not find single-use straws or single-use plastic bags, because we know that is one of the number one threats to marine life in the wild. Is as those bags and straws get thrown away, they end up washing out into the ocean. All of the oceans are connected, right? So it's almost like one big ocean, and those currents take it from one ocean to the next ocean, and then animals end up getting endangered. At the Houston Zoo, we work with rehabilitating and releasing sea turtles back out into the wild. Some of the things that we find common in the sea turtle, see plastic out in the wild, a lot of times they'll get entangled in that, or eat it, or even get tangled up in fishing hooks. So the zoo is working, Texas are rehabilitated, get a clean bill of health, and then they're returned out to the Gulf.
As we work our way into the penguin exhibit, you can see this large piece of blue acrylic panel here. That's a protective coating, but also, just in the message of sustainability and reuse, this is actually an acrylic viewing panel from one of the decommissioned exhibits. This is from the Kip Aquarium. So we've recovered this piece of acrylic, and we've basically polished it and made it like new, and incorporating it into the new penguin exhibit. And then as we walk through now, you'll see the final stop for the visit today, talking about the new penguin exhibit. I believe this was announced in April 22 to much fanfare.
Yeah, we're excited. This is the first time the Houston Zoo has ever had penguins, and so we're super excited to bring them here. And a lot of thought was put into designing a habitat that was great for the penguins and would keep them safe. So the Humboldt penguins are not the penguins that you would find like in the Antarctic region that require extra low or cold temperatures. But we did want to keep them inside, keep the water chilled, and most importantly, keep mosquitoes away from them. Humboldt penguins, like many other penguins, are susceptible to avian malaria, and so by reducing the chance that mosquitoes can get in here, that'll make sure to keep them healthy. We are planning to get a group of 10 penguins. They're coming from different zoos across the U.S., different AZA, or Association of Zoo and Aquarium Zoos. And so as those penguins come here, we have an acclimation time that's built in. So we want a time for them to get settled in, get acquainted with each other. It's just like introducing people or pets. It takes a little bit of time for everyone to get to know each other, and then they will come out to their new habitat here. So we designed some skylights in the top, and then again you could see that black LSS piping. That is the filtration.
So we've got a question from Justin asking how long it takes to build an exhibit. And that's a really interesting question with a complex answer. But it does depend a lot on what you're building. So for an example, it's not only how long it takes to build the exhibit, but how long it takes to get the animals ready. So right now our construction duration is just over 2 years, but that's just to have the exhibits ready for the animals. What happens after that is, you heard me talking earlier about making sure the ecosystems and environment are correct. So we have to spend a very large amount of time getting the life support systems online, flushing the pipes, and making sure everything is right. And then before we introduce the animals to their new after we introduce the animals to their new home, before we actually introduce them to the public, we want to give them the opportunity to get acclimated. So those activities in themselves take up a good 4 to 6 months as well, depending on the species and the exhibit.
Yeah, so animal welfare is a top priority at the Houston Zoo, and so many animals require several weeks of adjusting time to get used to the area before people coming in, because we want to make sure that they're comfortable with the space before we have our first visitors walk in the door. So you can see right now there's a very large skylight in the top. That is part of the ceiling that has not been completed yet. We are waiting for our large acrylic panel that will come in here. And it's pretty amazing. That acrylic panel will get floated by a crane right roof and set down in place, and then the rest of it will be finished. You can see the small here, those are the actual skylights or size of the skylights that I was talking about to make sure that the penguins are getting some natural daylight into their area.
What's really interesting about those skylights is generally when you're building a building, you're putting in special glass that keeps UV rays out. This is actually special glass that allows UV rays in to make sure that the penguins have the amount of not only natural light but UV light as well to keep them healthy.
So this new Galapagos exhibit is the first exhibit of its kind that has been built by any zoo. And one of the things that we were wanting to do is tell the story of Galapagos, one of the areas that has the interesting, unique animals and the best conservation story of how we're helping to save them in the wild. Some of the Galapagos animals are stand-ins. So our sea lions are stand-ins for sea lions. We have blue caiman iguanas that are stand-ins for our Galapagos iguanas. Humboldt penguins that are stand-ins for the Galapagos penguins. And then we have, of course, Galapagos tortoises that are Galapagos, and then lots of fish from that area. But we make sure we're getting the animals that are here allowed to be housed in this area, and we work closely with AZA to make sure that these animals are part of a species survival plan. So it's not animals that are being taken or coming from the Galapagos Islands. These are animals that are coming from other zoos within. And if any of you have any questions, please let us know. I'm both here to answer the animal-related questions, and we have Bill here that could answer any questions related to the construction of this new exhibit. So you may be asking, when is it open? That's probably a pretty common question. So early 2023, we're getting close. So we're about the halfway point of construction right now, and so the rest of it, so once it starts moving to the interior work, goes pretty fast, and we're ready to start introducing animals probably late fall or early winter of 2022, and then in 2023, we'll be excited to open up. We got a few more questions that are coming in. So we have a new series that is about the Galapagos Islands and our new Galapagos exhibits that is airing on our YouTube channel. So please you'll even see our own CEO and director starting off the series from the top of the crane. That crane was brought in here, and Bill, I don't know if you could talk about how tall is the crane that we have on exhibit?
The crane we currently, I like to say that we have the largest crane on exhibit at the zoo right now. No offense to the whooping cranes, but it's roughly 120 feet tall from the foundation to the top of the crane. And so we've used that as a tool because in order to maintain as much circulation as we can and impact the public as little as possible, our footprint is very small. So that crane that many of you have seen as you visited the zoo over the last 12 to 13 months is actually a tool that's been indispensable for us to bring this exhibit out of the ground.
Everyone was able to join us to get a sneak peek of this new Galapagos exhibit. So we're really excited about everything that we're going to be able to bring you. We're excited about the construction progress, and we're about halfway through. So stay tuned and be ready for early 2023 when this opens. And remember to tune in again for our next Facebook Live. That'll be next week, Facebook Live on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Thank you guys for joining us, and we hope you come out and see us soon at the Houston Zoo.